precisamos de nenhum elemento de material para a nossa...
No material.
Não material. Não precisamos de nenhum elemento material para a organização da nossa sociedade e entre nós.
Yeah, a non-material order. And he says that the problem is, in our current global system...
De não material.
Yeah. Precisamos de ordem não material sobre uns ideias.
Então, ele diz que nós precisamos de uma ordem não material. Então, repara sim. Ele diz que nós precisamos de uma ordem não material, sobretudo, mas também entre nós.
And he says that today we have this reduction of life to the pursuit of immediate material gain, without any regard for the consequences.
Hoje nós estamos numa busca do material e sem nenhum cuidado pela consequência provocada.
And he says what we have a global order with no accountability to and no responsibility for the world that we live in.
Nós temos uma ordem mundial que não considera e nem se responsabiliza por nada do que nós vivemos.
For the world, the natural world, for our life together on this planet. So again, this is another way of saying the same thing. So I think I've talked already a bit too long because with the consecutive translation, it takes longer.
Nós passamos um pouco do tempo previsto de 45 minutos devido à interpretação consecutiva e não simultânea.
But I think we now live in a time where, in a sense, we're living off the moral capital of a great period in history, which Ashoka was one of the founders of a universal ethic. There was a period in history from around 800 BC to 200 BC, when you had the first universal religions and the first attempts to have a universal philosophical thought, when humanity evolved from a tribal condition to universal ethical systems, and we haven't made much real ethical progress since that period. This is the period of the origin of Greek philosophy, the period when the Old Testament was written by the Hebrews, the creation of Buddhism, and the first philosophical thought in China of Confucius and Lao Tzu. These were all the first attempts at formulating universal ethical systems.
Então, nós observamos que antes de Cristo, por vários séculos, houve em várias partes do mundo a criação da filosofia universal que não foi desenvolvida. Nós não progredimos muito nisso. Teve os chineses, os gregos, os indianos, o Antigo Testamento que foi feito, todas as iniciativas para uma ética universal.
And there's actually a term for this period. It's called the axial period, because it's viewed as the axis of history. That for the first time, when people started living in cities and trying to, in different ways, formulate a universal ethic. And Ashoka was one of the high points of this period.
Então, conforme se buscava formular uma ética para as cidades, Ashoka foi um personagem muito forte no período.
It wasn't an ethic about a cidade. People first started to live in cities, and you first had the need for a more universal ethic as opposed to a tribal ethic.
Então, após a vida tribal, conforme as pessoas viviam em cidades, houve essa necessidade da ética global.
So I think some people today say that we're out of necessity, we're on the edge of a second axial period where we need to have a universal ethic in a planetary society, in a planetary economy. And I think we can see that in a very interesting way, Ashoka becomes almost contemporary. He points the way.
Então, a necessidade atual de buscarmos uma ética planetária que atenda o nosso momento agora torna a Ashoka uma pessoa absolutamente contemporânea.
So I thank you for your patience. Let's take a break for 5 minutes, and I hope we can have some questions and a discussion.
Vamos ter um intervalo agora.
E ele compreende várias partes, como por exemplo, existe o engine gráfico, que cria os objetos do jogo, o engine sonoro, que cria, evidentemente, os elementos de áudio, o engine físico, né, que determina o movimento, o comportamento dos objetos no espaço, e o engine de inteligência artificial, né, que instrui os personagens ou os objetos sobre
Você, então, me fala seu nome aqui. Você é Syrgyannis. Ok. Estamos voltando, então, com o professor Rich. E eu recebi algumas perguntas. Se alguém mais tiver pergunta a fazer, nós vamos colocar a ele. Inicialmente, temos uma pergunta que foi feita pela pessoa que é Cecília, né? Cecília da Brahma Kumaris. Cecília by Brahma Kumaris is concerned with the green economy. Ela pergunta sobre a economia verde e como essa visão de Ashoka pode ser introduzida nessa ordem mundial, and how this vision by Ashoka can be introduced in the global economy. And she wonders, is it possible to have a new change without a change in consciousness? And how can we achieve a change in consciousness? E ela então continua perguntando, podemos ter um mundo diferente sem uma mudança de consciência? E como vamos conseguir essa mudança de consciência?
Obrigado. Well, in reality, those are 3 questions.
Essas são 3 perguntas.
The first question is, in the world today, a green economy, and how can we promote a green economy? And it's important to remember that Ashoka actually builds on the system of Kautilya. And Kautilya is so I would say that for many areas of nature protection, and you could even say sustainable development, actually Kautilya created the foundations, but for purely long-term utilitarian goals. Kautilya really did, because he was not immoral, he was amoral and rationalistic and technocratic. So many of his measures look at the long term, are full of prudence in the sense of Adam Smith, and Kautilya sets out in great detail all kinds of measures for the protection of forests, for the protection of different kinds of non-forest products which are useful, and so on, but in a practical, rationalistic way for the use of the state. And then Ashoka goes a step further and expands this to do even more as an ethical principle. And if you look at the environmental debates, or the debates on sustainability today, you have these 2 different approaches. There are people who say, well, we need market incentives to encourage nature protection and also to limit greenhouse gas emissions. Like we should have a carbon tax. A carbon tax would be an economic Kautilya-like intervention. Or we need to pay people to preserve the forest. That would be a Kautilya-like intervention. And then other people might say, I don't know, like Greenpeace, well, no, it's you can use market incentives or tools for some things, but it's also a question of basic social ethical values. You can't put a price on everything. It would be good if you put more of a price on the environment and so on, but that's a dangerous path if you think the only solution is somehow to put a price on everything and only use economic measures. So we have this same debate today, and I would say you need both approaches, but that I would argue that the economic approach, there are useful things you could do to make the economy more environmentally friendly by putting a price on the use of the nature and that kind of thing, but you also need a national society and a global society that says, well, no, there are certain ethical values that we agree on where we don't care how much whether it's uneconomic, they're just things that society does because we're human beings and which we think this is how we have to live together as human beings on this planet. So that's the answer to the first question.
Então, na primeira parte da sua pergunta, ele volta a considerar que Kautilya utilizava o cuidado com a natureza de forma utilitária e que ele fez as bases de uma sociedade que estava fundamentada para um crescimento econômico. Ashoka, tendo ido adiante, porque estava dando tudo certo na forma estrutural, trazendo todos os valores éticos. Trazendo isto tudo para a economia verde, ele coloca que, efetivamente, incentivos de mercado que vão pagar pessoas para cuidar de florestas e sempre pagando cuidados com a natureza, são muito do tipo de Kautilya. em que você ainda tem uma visão muito utilitária. Além desta visão de pagar por um bem de desenvolvimento sustentável, existe a visão de Ashoka que se faz necessária junto com uma atitude de incentivos de mercado, em que os valores éticos possam então permear uma ação que não é apenas paga para cuidado da natureza. Então, ele diz que as duas vertentes são necessárias nesse momento para a economia verde.
Now, your second question, I think, relates to how does society change, and can we, how can we have a change of values in the world? Well, this is a work in progress. I mean, you have, over the past 20, 25 years, around the world, you have had the rise of civil society movements and of environmental movements, and also in movements for social justice. And this is a very important phenomenon because you find it in many different countries. You also find it in China, even though those people are sometimes thrown in jail and so on. So you have, around the world, you have many of these movements which are calling, if you will, within their own countries and globally for, you could say, Ashokan values, for more social justice and for protection of life and living things as values. Or if you will, another way of putting it, they're calling for the three values of Adam Smith, of the theory of moral sentiments, that you can't have a national society, you can't have a global society without justice and benevolence and prudence. Otherwise it all falls apart. So I think these civil society movements are an important, real historical sign. This is a long work, a collective work of humanity, which may take many, many decades. But I think it's a positive sign that people realize the need for this. We aren't there yet, and sometimes we make steps backwards, but I think it's a sign that this is developing slowly.
There is a problem of timing.
Huh?
Timing.
Timing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's true. We may come to the realization for Ashokan values, but after we've destroyed all the tropical forests and the sea level has risen 10 meters and flooded many coastal cities because of global warming and so on. So it's absolutely true. And of course, inequality in the world, in many parts of the world, has been getting worse. I mean, Brazil actually, for all of its problems, what has happened in Brazil has been very encouraging on the social front, because you finally have a government that really is trying to promote greater social equality, is taking real measures to do this. And this is so Brazil, in some ways, is from being one of the most unequal countries in the world, is becoming more equal, and the poorest people in Brazil actually feel that they live in a society which is a bit more on their side than it used to be. So that Brazil is one, in the social area, is one good area. Now in the environmental area, it's mixed, but Brazil has done many good things over the past 10 years to try and reduce the rate of deforestation, so which is very important. So I think Brazil is nothing is completely positive. You have 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, but Brazil is a positive story. Unfortunately, in the United States and in many other countries of the world, it's gone backwards. More unequal, less attention to environmental protection and so on.
Nessa questão de valores, conforme Cecília pergunta, o professor enfatiza que nós vemos já há alguns anos fenômenos ao longo do mundo inteiro de reivindicação de melhores condições sociais, da diferença entre as classes sendo reduzida, e que a consciência dessas buscas por uma vida de mais respeito humano, até em países como a China, onde essas iniciativas são muitas vezes interrompidas e as pessoas são mandadas para a prisão, elas estão acontecendo. Então, estes valores têm sido introduzidos mais e mais na sociedade. É claro que precisa de mais tempo. E aí o professor Moius então pergunta, mas como mais tempo? Nós não temos muito tempo. Então, de fato, o professor Rich comenta que essas mudanças climáticas que estamos sofrendo, de subida de níveis de mar, calor e tudo mais, chuvas, enchentes, estão requerendo que todos nós tenhamos medidas muito mais urgentemente.
As organizações não governamentais, a sociedade civil, em muitos países do mundo, faz uns 20, 25 anos, tem o progresso de movimentos, a criação de organizações não governamentais, sociedade civil. Faz uns 40 anos, a ONGs e a sociedade civil não foi uma coisa que existe quase em muitos países. Em muitos países do mundo é uma coisa quase nova na história. É uma response to the people's perception of the need for these values.
Então, ele cita que as organizações não governamentais têm, de certa forma, respondido de uma maneira ativa à necessidade de expansão destes valores para um maior número de pessoas. É um trabalho que está sendo feito, precisa ser intensificado.
Now, the last question, I think is most important, is how does society change?
Como é que a sociedade, conforme Cecília perguntou, muda?
Now, of course, Coutilho, we see, and he's like a economist, he says, well, people are weak and they only respond to incentives, threats of punishment or reward or material incentives. Whereas Ashoka has a more profound view that people individually talking with one another and discussing and through individual reflection can come to a sense of new values, and that this leads to a deeper social change. So the question is Ashoka just a well-intentioned or misguided idealist? And is Coutilho basically right? Or can we see some hope that the optimistic view of Ashoka of human nature is also correct?
Bom, ele fala como é que a sociedade muda. É uma reflexão, está tentando refletir como que o pensamento de Ashoka traz aquela crença na possibilidade da força interior vir à tona. E, em contraste com a avó dele, que achava que nós somos fracos, que o ser humano é fraco e que precisa de punição e prêmio para que ele seja conduzido na sua ação. Então, esse tipo de discussão de um assunto para que você expanda a percepção dele pode ser uma contribuição de Ashoka para sair daquela condição de fraqueza.
Mais importante, is Ashoka simply an impractical idealist, or is his vision of human nature and social change, is it at least in part true?
Então, ele termina perguntando, a visão de Ashoka é uma visão irreal, ou nós podemos colocá-la em prática, fazendo as discussões sobre vários temas, como ele costumava fazer?
And I'll give you one very important historical example
Vou dar um exemplo histórico da minha vida.
And the experience of the United States, because in the south of the United States, up through the 1960s, you had a system of institutionalized racism that was as bad as South Africa. It was really bad, and the U.S. in its history, one of the biggest obsessions and themes is racism, particularly against African Americans. You know, the United States fought a whole civil war over slavery and so on, and continuing up through the 1950s and 60s, the state of political and economic repression of black people and of official racism, it was as bad as South Africa.
Ele está se lembrando que nos anos 60, nos Estados Unidos, havia uma atitude racista tão forte quanto na África do Sul, em que os africanos e os americanos tinham uma disputa muito grande, política, econômica. Não havia um progresso político e econômico por parte dos negros.
And this had formed most of American history, actually, this official racism. And there was the civil rights movement in the United States for the rights of black people to be full citizens. And what is very interesting, it occurred in two ways. One was legal. The Supreme Court had a very famous ruling in 1954 saying that racial segregation was against the American Constitution. Because in all the American states in the South, they had laws enforcing total segregation of the races. A black person could not even drink from the same drinking fountain or use the same bathroom as a white person, and if he did, he could be beat up or even murdered by people.
O que ele diz é que houve, por muitos anos, portanto, parte da história americana, toda essa busca pelos direitos civis, movimentos buscando a cidadania. Havia efetivamente uma grande segregação nos locais em que os brancos iam, os negros não iam, e se você tentasse tomar água, usar o mesmo banheiro, você podia baterem em você e até ser morto. Então, houve um progresso legal em 1954, legalmente era proibida a segregação racial. Esta foi um dos aspectos.
So that's it started. And the schools and public places had to be desegregated in the American South.
Então, lá no sul dos Estados Unidos, iniciou-se essa não segregação nas escolas, lugares públicos.
But in the beginning, it was very unpopular. There were riots of the white people in the South against desegregation. And for example, a famous case in 1958, the high school, the secondary school of Little Rock, Arkansas, was desegregated and the people rioted. So President Eisenhower had to send in the army to suppress the riots so that black children could go to the same school with white children.
Então, inicialmente, essa lei da não segregação foi, inclusive, não bem aceita pelos brancos. Havia crianças que podiam ir em qualquer escola, mas isso não era efetivamente aceito. Havia grandes rebeliões. E, no momento, até Eisenhower teve que intervir, porque a reação de aceitação ainda era muito impopular.
No, tropas federales. He had to send in the army to protect the schools from the parents of the white children, so that little black children could go to the same school.
Imagine então que Eisenhower teve que mandar o exército para proteger as escolas dos pais das crianças brancas que não queriam que seus filhos estudassem com os negros.
But nonetheless, these laws went forward, and then in the South, there occurred a psychological change in the people. It was gradual, but the people began to realize that this segregation and discrimination was something that was morally bad.
Então vejam que apesar de ter levado um tempo, a lei continuou e as pessoas ao longo do tempo criaram consciência de que isso efetivamente não era correto, que eles aceitaram com o tempo a convivência com os diferentes.
So today, if you go into the South, many cities have black mayors. The head of the police force locally will be black. And if you talk to African Americans, they will say that today in the South of the United States, that people are less racist than in the North.
Então, hoje tem até pessoas de cor na posição de prefeitos e posições de policiais, coisas que antigamente não tinha e que hoje a parte sul dos Estados Unidos é vista como a de menos racismo possível.
So, but this happened not just because of the law changed and because the federal government sent in the army to enforce it. If nothing else changed, then that would not work over the long run. But the people themselves began to realize that their behavior, which was traditional in the South, was more